Welcome to 0 to 1 million, where I chronicle the journey of going from literally zero revenue up to $1 million. Today I want to talk about the content plan and why I'm shooting these videos and kind of do a like who, what, where, how, when kind of format in terms of what you might get out of these, and put some thought into what I'm trying to create and how useful it's going to be, and then we'll talk about whether having a content plan is worthwhile for your business as well, depending on what you're doing. And so, as usual, I've got my notes that I'll be looking at to get this in some kind of order. So my first thing is who. So I'm Craig. I've got 25 years of business experience. I thought recording this now, like obviously if I was starting day zero when I started my first business around my, wherever it was, 20 or 19 or something like that, the content would be a lot less structured. So hopefully having 25 years of experience, knowing what steps I need to take next is a little clearer for me, and I can communicate them to you to make it more useful and more valuable. My greatest hits are basically like I helped a client, well, these are all for clients, right? Build their business from about 200,000 to 2.4 million in annual revenue. Another one we launched from literally zero on a Shopify site, from day zero with zero revenue in 6 months. We're up to $93,000 a month in basically recurring revenue. It was a recurring repeat purchase product, and that went on to be a multi-million dollar business as well. And then lately I've worked with one client, and over 3 years we started off at 540,000 in sales through the e-commerce and grew that to 1.28 million over the 3 years. And so I've done a lot of this stuff before, but I haven't built my own business from 0 to 1 million in annual revenue, and so I want to chronicle that journey and how it goes. But I've done it a few times before with other people, obviously. I'm a martial artist. If you're following along, I got my cast off today and I'm on to my next cast for another 4 weeks, so you'll see that featured in the video. Over that time, breaking boards for my students that couldn't break them. I've been doing that 21 years, teaching for the last 10 years. So also bringing a bit of the teaching and aspects of that, how to get messaging through to people and get them to constantly improve, and probably a few martial arts stories along the way. And I've been a vegan for over 5 years as well. We went to the Elephant Nature Park over in Thailand. Great place, featured on National Geographic and all these things, helping out rescue elephants. And they made the argument to me of like, how can you like dogs and you don't eat them, and cats and you don't eat them, and animals, and you come here for elephants that you don't want to eat, why would you eat cows and things like that? And they convinced me, and so have been fully vegan since that week of great vegan food that they served us there. Highly recommend going, even if you don't want to turn vegan as part of it. So what is all this about? So basically we'll start with going from zero and get to $1 million in revenue. My goal was bigger than that, but I thought that would be a good chronicle, because less than 4% of businesses actually get past $1 million in revenue. And so if we can get to that bit, then we'll set the next goal of getting up to 10 million and then beyond that as well. And yes, it is 4%, so it's not many businesses, despite what you may believe from social media and what you see. Not a lot of businesses actually make that much revenue or profit. And so we want to be realistic about this journey. It's going to take time. It's not going to be, hey, we just did that in 6 months' time. It'd be great if we do, but going through the real trials and tribulations that come along with it. And remember, there's 25 years of experience here, so it should be faster than normal if you're starting out with no skills as well. Then as we go, so what our focus is basically for our business, what we're trying to help people do is have a better Shopify store. So it'll be growing Shopify revenue, but also helping them with their distribution and retail stores and that kind of thing. Because most businesses, if you have a, I don't know if I can do this with my arm, but if you have a Shopify store, that might be like 10%, 20% of your revenue, and then you've got 80% coming from retail distribution once you get that, if you approach that the right way, and you can stay in retail stores. And so it's an omni-channel approach, not just about the Shopify store, but that's what we're going to talk about a lot. in terms of how do we have that brand presence online. So what I call that is education-based branding, where your website acts as like a helpful shopping assistant. So if you think, you might not have been alive back in the day, but in the olden days, before like even supermarkets were formed, there used to be grocery stores, and a person would stand behind the counter and you'd go and tell them what they want, and they'd go at the back and get it off the shelf, and you'd have someone to help you make your selections of what kind of things you wanted to buy. And then it all became self-service with supermarkets. And we've seen kind of retail move that way, like used to be department stores with a lot more service level, and now you go to retail stores and it's often hard to find someone to actually help you. But imagine you went into a retail store and say like electronics or something like that, that's a little bit more high ticket. It's probably a better example of it now. And you're trying to choose between multiple types of TVs or things. There's usually someone there who will help you, talk you through the process of why pick this TV over this one, and what, I don't even know TV stats. We don't have a TV, but like pixel rates or refresh rates or clarity or resolution and all those kind of things, what they actually mean and the difference for you as a consumer. And so I believe that through e-commerce and Shopify, you can tell people these stories and educate them about your products, what ingredients are in them, why they should buy it over competitors, what's different, and really get that messaging down so you're educating people in the process. Because if they knew what you knew in your head of why you built this product, then they're more likely to buy it, versus if it all just looks the same. And it's like if you're selling a protein powder and it's like, well, this one has protein and this one has 24 grams of protein and this one has 24 grams of protein. What's the difference? I don't know, I'll just buy the cheapest one. So if you can't educate people, oh, we use a 30 gram scoop or 25 gram scoop and they use a 32 gram scoop, or we have no fillers and binders and other rubbish in there, to explain why your protein powder is better. You have more sustainable techniques. You're using plant-based proteins instead of whey powder. The differences that has on your digestion and stuff. Can you tell I've sold protein powders and take protein powders? Anyway, so that's kind of the approach and what we'll be teaching people through this process. And so it's increasing conversion rates on Shopify stores, better education through that, email marketing, running ads, content marketing, like what do you do with your social media, like blogging, is that any use to you, and all those different aspects that kind of bring all the education together to help build your brand, not just online, but also if you see an ad online, you're more likely to go into a store and buy things. So it's that whole omni-channel approach. Hopefully that makes sense. It'll get clearer as we drill in and start messaging and talking to people about how we explain that. Obviously, this is part of figuring out your business and your positioning and stuff. And then what might be interesting as well, and so I also say that the content now, obviously this is about starting this business, so there's a lot of information here. We're going to start doing our marketing around the 6th of January. We're in the middle of December, and so no one's really interested in hearing from us as a business owner, so we're going to start that 6th of January into the new year. So now we'll build a bit of a base about our business, and these thoughts will apply to the same thing if you're doing a product-based brand with a Shopify store and e-commerce and that kind of thing. But as we go along the journey, I imagine as we start working with more clients, we'll be talking about the problems that we're facing in terms of their businesses and how to do the delivery, and it'll be confidential in terms of all their business names and that kind of thing, because I don't like sharing client details. But we will be able to, and that allows us to kind of share numbers and conversion rates and things like that, of what changes we made strategically to get results from it. And so that's the plan. So the content will start where we are now, and it should shift, and I'm sure there'll be more talking about building the business as we go, like hiring people, how do you hire, manage, all those kind of different things will come into it as well. And so we'll see how the journey evolves, but I want to make sure that we keep it interesting, obviously, for especially if you've got a Shopify store and you're our target market, that it's interesting for you. While I'm not trying to teach a whole bunch of people how to start like a marketing agency, because I believe a lot of people shouldn't be starting a marketing agency. It's you should know how to do marketing first, and there's a lot of rubbish out there. So I don't want to teach you all sales and marketing for that thing without the delivery side. Delivery is the most important bit. and realize that as we're going through this journey, like our positioning and who we're actually serving could change if we go out and talk to the market and they're like, we're not interested in what you're talking about at all, come up with something better. So that could evolve as we go through. That's the fun of business and being able to tailor your product and adjust as you go along based on customer feedback to make it better. So where this longer form content will be sitting on YouTube, which you're probably where you're watching it now, or maybe it's on our website. I just want to be able to do longer form content because you can teach more. We'll take a bunch of snippets out of it. What I've been doing lately is turning the camera around into portrait and then doing a bunch of shorts based on what I've talked about, so we can put them out as well. It's hard to get a lot of value through in like kind of 60 seconds. So we'll see how it all comes together, but I really want to be able to do the deeper content on YouTube, and that's the plan at the moment and how this is all working. When is going to be, so weekdays is the plan. So I want to basically do a daily download. I'll try and do it at the end of the day where I just set up the camera and I talk about whatever problem we were facing that day. Or there's probably going to be multiple problems, but pick something to talk about, or maybe a download of different things, or what I'm thinking about, or what that process is. So we'll do that each day. I'm tempted to do weekends. I just did some over the weekend. I worry that I might overcommit, so we'll see how it goes. It would be interesting because business never stops and my brain never stops, whether I can do that as well, which we'll talk about a bit more in the how. But next, why? So why do this at all and spend precious time that could be time spent building the business, performing this content. So what I'd like to do personally is make sure that I have a brand in kind of 5 to 10 years that can attract clients and business opportunities and investment opportunities in our specific area of expertise. And so you start building that brand by doing these videos now, and they're gonna suck for a long time, but then in 5-10 years I should be better at doing these, and that should open up a whole bunch of doors. So that's the 10-year plan, I guess. The short-term hypothesis is it's got 2 bits. So I think potential clients who see this content might believe that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to marketing or Shopify and emails and all the stuff that we're going to talk about as we go through the process. And so that should hopefully build some trust, but also make sure that we're attracting people who are aligned with kind of our way of thinking of how we do things. And so that's kind of part B as well. It forms a bridge between, if you just like find out who we are and go to our website and book a call, it's a strange process, and I want to have steps in between where you can consume some content, get to know us, get to know how we think, and then so we're more aligned when we start working together as well, whether you've watched 5 minutes and got bored of a video or watched a whole bunch or whatever that is as we go through the process. And then how to get this done. So I've always sucked at doing daily diaries or journals or everything, and everyone tells you, oh, you got to write a journal to be successful, which is a lot of BS because there's people who have been successful without writing a journal. So I'm not very good at the daily rhythm of doing it, or like writing weekly blog posts or emails and that kind of thing. So I want to make this as easy as possible for me. I'm just going to turn on the camera, I'm going to start talking. I've got notes on the computer, but I'm not going to be trying to edit these things up fancy and be like, oh, I looked down and read stuff and lost my place. So it's just going to be that kind of stream of consciousness as I talk through things. I'm sure I will muck up a whole bunch of words as well, but I got consciousness right, so that's great. Maybe later we'll get some proper editing and make it a little bit more fancy. Maybe it turns into a show versus a diary type thing. I don't know. We're just going to see how it goes. And the most important thing for me is to build the habit of just turning on a camera and talking to it. Because apparently I like talking to myself a lot. And I think what will happen is, I kind of mentioned before, like every day there'll be a problem or a constraint or something that we're trying to overcome at that point. It might be in a client business for our delivery side of things. It might be in our own business of what we're trying to achieve. So I think we'll talk about that. And as we get the rhythm of it, hopefully some good stuff will come out. I'm playing with the idea of how do I like frameworks and structure and being able to teach people, like I'm a teacher in like martial arts and also teaching marketing people how to do marketing. So I like having frameworks and things like that. So how I balance that in terms of content and putting out stuff that, this is the 3-step process to write a blog post, or the 6-step copywriting formula, or things like that we use. How I teach those through the content, I'm not sure. It might just be as we're doing it for clients, I'm talking about it and teaching you the frameworks that we use. That's kind of a plan at the moment. We will see what happens. We're playing this by ear at the moment. And so, as I said now, turn on our marketing turn on our marketing about the 6th of January and start doing some outreach to people who are in our ideal target market. And so for now, there'll be a couple of videos that I'll talk about what I'm doing in terms of the thinking through the business, the planning for the business from our side of things. It would also apply if you had a Shopify store or you're doing an e-commerce brand. It's just, we're selling a service as a product, so it's still a product that we're selling, but people get a little bit, when I say client instead of customer and all that kind of thing, I technically think of them as partners, so I prefer to use that language anyway, but that's even more confusing for everyone. And so I'll talk through a bunch of that stuff and we'll see where it goes. And when we get to 6th of January, we'll be doing our own marketing. And once we start getting some work in the door, we'll talk about that. And I may backtrack to some of the things that we've been doing in the last couple of years in terms of this stuff as well, months and things like that. So we have a bit of that mixed into the bunch as well. It's all up for grabs at the moment. So the key thing is to just build this habit and talk, and if you're watching and you actually make it to the end, congratulations. That's great. So hope you enjoyed. That's where we're going. Hopefully it makes sense, and look forward to having you on the journey, whether it's a couple of times or you're watching this in 10 years in the future as a chronicle of the whole thing and it went super well, or you want to follow along for the whole time as well. That's up to you. All right. Catch you later. Bye.